Welcome, everybody, to the Raad Life, the only talk radio show that takes you along with host and age explorer Rod Gantos on his continuing journey of discovery into life's challenges, opportunities, options, and all the latest and greatest things that come with getting older. The Raad Life is brought to you this week by Your Home for a Lifetime, a company dedicated to empowering you to stay safely, independently, and comfortably in your own home. And now here is your host, Rod Gantos.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to OC Talk Radio's favorite show. Only really show worth listening to.
You know, today is a show about cross-pollination. I'll just throw that out.
Wow. Wow. I'm supposed to be the one doing the teaser. Okay.
Well.
But, you know, he's right. He's right. Paul is always right. But welcome, everybody. It's another episode of the Raad Life, Wednesday, 12 to 1. Every week, we are here. So, as you know, if you've been following the show, we are not limited in our scope and focus.
No.
And it basically really comes down to what, Paul?
Aging baby boomers' journey.
Well, yes, but it's more my journey, really.
And
what interests
it's
me.
It's the Raad Life.
The baby boomers are sort of secondary.
You're living
given
a
the fact that
radical
I'm not
life.
really a baby boomer. I'm a baby boomer.
This is a
wannabe.
reality
I missed
show.
it
It's
by 1
following
year.
your Raad Life. You meet the coolest people, and through you, we get to meet all these people.
Well, it all started when I met you, which, you know, was very cool.
That's true.
Okay,
well, I
sorry.
can't deny that.
That's about all the ass kissing I'm going to do.
Wow. I'm not ready for this.
No, that's
today.
it. We're done. But, wow, by the way, no cargo pants? What the heck, dude?
I had to go to something.
You actually
tonight,
went to
so I
slacks, like
yeah.
chinos. We got
a little
chinos on today.
Got a little chilly out, so
I'd like to give a hand to Paul for really, you know, just making his wardrobe a little more diverse than usual. But with that being said, really it is a very exciting time for a lot of things that are changing. Some good, some bad, you know, around us. But one of the things I'm really excited about, and I've been really excited about this for a number of years and finally had a chance to basically be asked to kind of dip my toe in it professionally, is what's happening in the cannabis space and what has been kind of in the forefront of what happens in that space with California. I mean, it's kind of a leading state when it comes to that. So my guest today is one of the people that I've had the fortune to meet in the last, I don't know, when was it, Christine? Like maybe about 6 months? Not even 6 months. And I want to give a shout out to the person who introduced us because she was supposed to be on the show today, but she's busy working.
Always busy.
Always busy. So we want to give a shout out to Kara. Kara, thank you for all the support and for connecting us all together originally. And, you know, we miss you. We hope you were here. I did try to kind of bend her arm and have her call in, but she said, no, I'm busy.
No.
I'm on company business.
Yeah.
So she's traveling. But we'll have Kara back in again because Kara is actually marketing and is very responsible for the branding for Whedon, which is the company I was asked to come in and help with their rebranding of a space that they took over in Santa Ana.
And what is Whedon?
And Whedon, I'm going to let Christina actually explain the complexity, because the cool thing about what's happening relevant to the company that Christine works for is just the way they're going about it. And I'm very impressed by the level of sophistication. I've seen this happen in other industries, and it's so exciting to see it happen when it comes to the cannabis space. So, I mean, they started talking, and I'm like, yes. All the lights are going on. All the boxes are getting checked. I get it. You know, thank you. Finally, somebody's doing this. So, Christine, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
And I understand that you were on another show on this station just recently.
I was, yes, very recently.
On the My Jane show.
Yes, My Jane, My Story.
My Jane, My Story. When does that air?
That is
Thursdays at
yes.
2 o'clock.
So tomorrow
He
will
knows
there be
everything.
another show tomorrow?
There will be tomorrow.
Okay. So let's get
In
a
fact,
plug. Do we know who's coming tomorrow?
Kara's coming on to tell her story.
Kara's coming on?
Yes, that's right. Her personal.
Okay, all right. I'm not going to
journey.
be hurt or my feelings
Her
hurt.
cannabis journey.
I might have to pop in tomorrow and just stick my head in the door.
Yeah.
But it's all a happy family around here. But that's a great show too. And the focus of that show, we'll touch on it a little bit, is also part of what's happening as far as change in how the industry is addressing needs.
My Jane is ordinary people telling ordinary stories of their cannabis journey. I don't know. We're hearing all this craziness. It's cool. It's frightening. It's exciting. It's scary. All these things happening in the cannabis world. Here's real people coming in and saying, I'm just going to tell you my own experience, why I use cannabis.
Okay,
and
so So
what
for
it
those
brought
who
to
have listened to the show, you understand and realize that by now there's nothing I can do after 4.5 years to curtail
Nothing.
Paul from participating.
you open
Right.
the door and let me talk.
And
one
I
of the
have
few
a
shows
I have
talk
a
on.
feeling out of all shows, this particular one, because of his own personal history
Yeah.
with the subject matter.
Don't go there.
Okay. No, I'm going there because we haven't talked about it in a while, right? But your personal history with the subject matter, he is probably going to have a lot to say. And it's actually perfect because he is our poster child baby boomer, Christine,
Yes.
right?
He is, yes.
So he can participate. And the other show, the focus is more towards another market segment, which the industry basically focuses on, understandably, from an educational perspective, from a sharing personal experience perspective, which is women.
Correct.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So, unless he's wearing something that would allow him to participate there, maybe he'll have
I
a
say
chance
nothing
today.
on that
Oh, you
show.
say nothing on that show?
No.
Wow, I'm so
No, he
lucky
doesn't.
that you just don't,
You're
shut
you're
up
like
on
the
mine.
only show that lets me talk.
No, but
They've learned from you. Don't give them a mic.
Actually, I'm happy because you actually always have really good insight in things, and you're sitting in that chair listening to all these other shows, so you are cross-pollinating, to use your term,
Yes.
on a lot of things. And so, just to give people a little bit of background about Paul and why he's sort of an expert on this, is when he went to the University of Michigan.
Yeah.
Yes, I can't get that wrong.
Ann Arbor,
Ann Arbor. He actually ran a radio station.
the college radio.
The college
station.
radio
And then I
station.
worked and
Nice.
started. My first
And when-
paid gig was in Ann Arbor too. WIQB. Why I quit broadcasting. We used to say.
And when he was not saddled up in front of a mic, he was basically participating in things known as
Ann Arbor was a strange town. It was one of those hippie college communal
don't
things,
say.
like Berkeley, like University of
Bears.
Wisconsin. Yeah, there's a handful of these that were centers of the student revolution. Right, you don't even remember there was a student revolution in the late '60s against the war and all that. And one of the things Ann Arbor did, which was unheard of at the time, is the students who took over the city council in Ann Arbor passed a $5 pot law. So outside of the city limits, it was a felony to have an ounce of marijuana, but within the city limits, it was a misdemeanor subject to a $5 fine.
So guess what happened?
So they
Wow.
started having giant, as to take advantage of this, they had giant hash bashes, which they still do to this day, I think. And they would openly defy, the law, and thousands of students would gather on the lawn and smoke dope. And this was, that was the culture I grew up in that period.
See, you were sitting in this chair just last week,
I was.
and
yeah.
these nuggets
Didn't come out.
Didn't come out, right?
No.
These gems of wisdom.
These gems of wisdom.
Gems of wisdom.
Right.
So it was a different space and place. Now we've seen marijuana go to a place I never thought it would in my lifetime, where suddenly it's grown very quickly into acceptance, where it's more and more states are passing not just medical but recreational use laws, and it's a strange time. It's amazing time.
So the reason why I had Paul basically put that in, because it actually establishes sort of a start point to this conversation, right? This was the reality for a long time, right? And the likes of Paul, who is now a baby boomer, legitimate baby boomer. What are you, 61, Paul? 62?
Oh, I wish I was 60. I wish I could remember 61. I'm 60. I'll be 64 in January.
Okay, 64.
Yeah.
Right. That's when I first met you. You were like younger, so right.
We all
He's
were.
64 in January.
64, yeah.
So for somebody who was a person who participated in that in their impressionable college years, who basically it was part of their experience, that necessarily didn't stop over all these years. And all these years, basically, it became more and more restrictive, more and more a worry, in sort of in the confines of your own home, if you choose to. And then where do you basically procure it? Is it
had to have a
safe to
pot
procure
dealer.
it? You
Yeah,
had a
exactly.
pot dealer, your contacts, your connections. You put your weed in there, kind of stuff, right? So that has completely changed, right?
It has. Yeah.
Right. And so...
And along with the perception, it was, I'll give you two, this is what I find fascinating about it, two different things. One, it was demonized forever, and that was what we were rebelling against. It was, reefer madness, the whole thing that started in the 30s and 40s, which has been questioned over and over again, who was behind this and why did they demonize it, and how they threw out not just the cannabis plants, but the hemp plants that George Washington grew. Hemp was a longtime supplier of rope and clothing and pharmaceuticals and all sorts of stuff. and didn't have the THC in it that made you high.
There was actually a special issue. I don't know if Kara shared this with you, but it was by History Channel put out a special journal, and on the inside cover of this journal, I think I loaned it to Kara. There was a print that was almost, it looked like it was made out of what they call a wood carving print, where they carve the pattern or whatever it is, and then they ink it. It's kind of preliminary printing technology. And it was on the inside. And I looked at it, and I'm like, what is this doing? It's like a bunch of, European women in a field or something, right? And they're like probably like 1600s or something like that. It just looked like an old thing that from an old manuscript. And I looked at it, and I said, okay, the whole issue on this is about cannabis. So what is this doing in there? Turns out it was in the Rhine Valley, okay? And it was hemp harvesting.
Oh, hemp was
interesting.
always a very...
Back then.
Yeah.
Right. So to Paul's point, I mean, there's a
They threw the
long
baby out
human
with
connection with the plant, with how it was used for different reasons.
And they threw the baby out with the bathwater. They demonized the getting high from the THC and
that's
cannabis.
just because you were using it.
And then hemp got thrown on, everything else got thrown. So there have been industries, Normal and all these other things fighting for marijuana laws for as long as I can remember, since the 70s.
Right.
And suddenly a tipping point happened in the last
So what
couple
happened?
years.
I mean, I don't know this. What was the sort of a catalytic change that
Because the
caused this?
perception changed
Was it the
dramatically in a
perception?
short
Was it
period of
just that
time.
there was enough baby boomers? There was enough people that were engaged, active, to where things got onto the ballots, things got voted on. What happened?
Well, I think it's always been a hot topic for people, especially because there are a lot of people who use it medically, especially, cancer patients or, pain management, seizures, arthritis, things like that.
Parkinson's.
So, yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of uses for it. And so there were a lot of people fighting on the medical side to make it more accessible.
Which was not part of the story back in 1978, my friends. There was no medical value to marijuana. It was just about getting high.
So I got a question for you, since you're just continuing to participate here. Let me ask you a question. Okay, in those dark age days between your college years and when it actually became legal in California. Okay, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay, did you have a dealer?
I didn't.
Did you participate, or did you just go completely cold turkey?
I went cold turkey.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's interesting to me because I think that was the journey most of our friends.
Explain why your whole generation got grumpy for so long.
I'm going to tell you that I remember a few years ago I had a party, and it was a bunch of people I'd known in high school, and we got together, and somebody brought a joint. And everybody was so giggly, and like we hadn't seen one in 20 years or something. and it was... we got suburbanites, we got kids, we got jobs, we moved on, we moved away, and
you became responsible.
The vast majority of people I knew, just never. That was something we did a long time ago. We stopped it. It wasn't part of our journey. And I think the tipping point was two things. One, the industry. All these medical uses came to the front that nobody ever talked about or knew about. And suddenly we're all, our generation's looking for alternatives. We go to mothers looking for herbs.
Oh, the high cost of medical expenses, pain management, being, you're constantly upping your dosage on stuff that's pharmaceuticals and side effects. Yeah.
And our unwillingness.
Listen to all the side effects that they list very gently and nicely ahead of every ad. Right, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And our unwillingness to just go gently into the night and take a bunch of opioids for the rest of our lives or drugs or whatever. So we're willing to, we have a suspicion of Western medical science. It's great if you break a leg. It's great if you need a heart transplant. It's not so great if you got an ache and pain or you can't sleep. Okay. They don't have an answer for that.
So there's
other than a drug.
There's some things we wanted to make sure and cover, and this is like a perfect segue into this following question, Christine. Like, when it comes to baby boomers like Paul, okay, how is the industry reaching out to that? Is the pitch totally medical? And I'm setting you up because I know kind of like I want you to bring in sort of the Whedon experience as well, because yes, obviously that is a target market, that is a beneficiary demographic, if you will, right? But how is it being marketed to? How is it being reached out to? Because that's a group of people.
And who's coming in to buy it? You have dispensaries.
We'll get to that, but I want to focus on baby boomers for a minute, because that's a group of people that maybe has a little bit of knowledge base already, good, bad, misinformed, whatever, but they've been kind of exposed to it at one point or the other. So how do you actually approach that particular market?
Well, at Whedon, we try to be approachable to everyone.
Yeah.
So we try to make it easy to understand, easy to talk to. We want to have a diverse staff, and varying ages, so that way, people feel comfortable talking to the people around behind the counter, and just having a normal retail experience. I think that makes it a little bit more approachable. But for baby boomers in particular, like they're looking for, CBD in particular, or just more health-based products. And so having a knowledgeable staff that knows what they're talking about and knows how to make those recommendations is really important to be able to service those customers.
And so there is a. No, I'm going to cut you off a little bit, Paul. Okay, yeah, I saw you lean in.
Well, I just want to say one thing, and then I'll shut up for a while.
Yeah. How many times have you guys heard them say that exact word? I will say one
Before
thing
you
already on
came,
this
we were
episode.
talking about it, and I said, who are the majority of customers? Are they people looking for medicinal things, or are they looking for recreational just to,
Right.
like going to a liquor store or
it's
bar?
Very good question.
And she said a lot of
This last
people
question, anyway.
are doing medical.
I doubt that.
I think my generation is more interested not in reclaiming our youth and looking at recreational use again.
Yeah.
Because I don't drink like I used to. I don't get high. I'm not interested. I'm old. My body can't take it. I'm more responsible. I'm interested in the medical stuff. I'm not interested really, despite the fact I have a bunch of alcohol here. Irish whiskey. I don't really drink very much. I
actually mark the bottles, so I check them every week.
Just to see how he's doing.
We don't, as a group, our consumption of all those things, of recreational things, has gone way down as we've gotten older. It's only natural. We've slowed down.
Well, it's a good point, Paul, because it dispels the misinformation or the mislabel. That's, oh my God, the doors have now been opened, so we're going to go.
We're all going to go get high again.
Right. So there is a appropriate and responsible way where you, even as a generation that was participating in it more recreationally, is now looking at it, and the stigma has been removed. The ability to get it has been removed. To be able to get it in a safe environment is just critical, has been removed, and that is for you who may be exposed to it before. So as you imagine, like Christina, you were saying, those who are not familiar with it, that are first-time users,
Right.
where the educational component is very important, right? So that peer-to-peer that I think you were talking about, in terms of the way you staff your dispensary, you staff your space, we got to come up. I'm predicting that at some point the word dispensary is going to go away. It really is.
I think so too.
I think it's going to
think so
become
too.
something else. Like, it used to be a computer store. Now it's the Microsoft store or the Apple experience, right?
And can we
Right.
disclose one other thing, and then you guys can delve into this at depth? You designed their store, so I think this is fascinating. How do you design
I want
an
to
experience?
I want to lead into this bit because I want to thank them for, and especially whoever was involved in the branding deck, or as Kara puts it, the branding Bible, which I feel like I need to put my hand on and swear or something. But they made my job very easy. I mean, first of all, it makes perfect sense how they are positioning this because of the multiple age brackets, multiple market demographics that they're going after. The all-inclusive approach makes perfect sense. There's probably even like economies of scale involved in that. Like if you actually go out to address and accommodate all these people with slight nuanced differences in how you pitch to them, right? It makes perfect sense. The fact that, when I did a little research just to look at it, and again, like I said, prior to even meeting Kara, meeting Christine, meeting the folks at Manifest 7 or Whedon, I was very, very curious about this because I'm doing wellness centers and spas and sort of that side of it, which was an alternative to medical, right? Because it wasn't just, pampering massage. It was, if I incorporate some of this stuff into my wellness regimen during the course of my daily living, then I offset some medical crises. I make myself healthier. Everybody around me benefits. I benefit. So the idea of having an alternative to mix into my wellness that was not medical was already a space I was in. So when this was introduced to me, it made perfect sense. And when I looked at how it was being packaged, it was more like a high-tech, computer store. Was
Okay.
how it has been packaged in the past. Okay, that means that the lighting is all white light LED even everywhere, right? There was a regulations that basically asked for separation between CBD and cannabis. There was stuff that was regulation driven that made for a very sort of almost like prohibitive space. Like when you walked into places that were designed like that, it was just like there was like a check-in area, almost like a doctor's office, like a bulletproofing glass, right? And then even when the bulletproofing glass went away, it still had almost like you had like a Luftwaffe maiden at the front desk, like going to check you in. So it's like I'm already intimidated before I even go to.
Maiden.
That's my loving reference to people that doctors' offices. When you walk in, it's like there's a check-in area, a checkout area.
Yeah.
Do you have an appointment? Well, good. You're going to sit and wait for an hour anyway.
Right. Have a seat.
Now, having never been to a dispensary ever in my life.
We got a field trip in his future.
My perception would be the old pot dealer perspective, that there's a bunch of plants and buds and bags, and there's a long-haired, hippie-looking guy with a tie-dye T-shirt.
That would actually be better than what most of them.
Yeah, and so it would have that sort of secretive, and there'd be beads hanging that he'd walk through the beads to come out of the back room. And it would be
this a personal experience?
Yeah,
or a trip. I mean,
right. There's a lot of detail in this story.
There is actually
very, very vivid. Vivid
imagination.
But actually, no. There were. I mean, I remember even walking into the place that we now are in transforming. There was a prohibitiveness. There was a standoffness. Like you walked in and there was walls and there was openings but only barely,
right?
And it's like, no, you stay here, you go there, there's a checkpoint, somebody has to kind of card you. The whole approach was so ripe for reprogramming, really, right?
Absolutely.
And so when I looked at what you guys were trying to do with your collateral material and your branding, there was a social component to it, big time. I mean, you're Whedon, we are Eden. We add whatever verb after that, right?
That's
we relax,
yeah.
we party. You guys did the Alzheimer walk last weekend, and it was we walk.
Right, yeah.
Right? And so that aspect of it resonated because the spaces, the way they are traditionally or recently have been designed, in most cases, do not provide that environment.
Right, absolutely.
Right? It doesn't give a sense of belonging. It doesn't give a sense of being part of something. It's just you walk in, it's bright lit. There's no focus. There's no opportunities to highlight and educate.
Now, was part of that, and maybe I shouldn't bring this up, but the security aspect of it. Neighborhoods are scared that you got people buying, like a liquor store. They're going to go out and get high, so there's a certain controlled atmosphere feeling. And let's face it, these are still cash businesses, so a fear that you're going to get robbed, and I have to have armed guards and protection there. Is that any of that into it? This kind of regulated security feeling cash
in the past there has been requirements for like we were talking about 215 dispensaries before Prop 64.
Those are the medical dispensaries.
The medical dispensaries, where there was a requirement for bulletproofing or separation between the reception area and the retail floor, or certain requirements for security guards or metal detectors or things like that. But a lot of that has changed now, and especially at Whedon, we try and be a lot more approachable, even though you still have that requirement of checking everyone's ID because it is 21 and up.
Right.
We do have security guards as well, but we try to be they're very friendly, and we try to be a lot more approachable, and just not so in your face with the security.
Well, and you don't have to do. I mean, this is just putting my design hat on for a minute. You don't have to. I mean, there's a lot of industries where you have those regulations and security concerns.
Jewelry stores or whatever.
Right.
Jewelry stores, airports.
Even Target has a security guard.
Target. Yeah. I mean, so you don't have to.
Scanners at the door.
You don't have to, deal with it in a very almost punitive manner, or it can be still dealt with in a different way, and to actually own that space relevant to your brand and your brand positioning, to where your space basically reflects that, and every touch point then enhances or the experience. That is doable. You just have to basically have the ability to envision that. And you guys did a lot of the work for me, to be honest. I mean, it was very easy once I saw that and I digested it to know where this needed to go. Plus, we had certain realities that we had to deal with, right? It was an existing space. You know, it wasn't like we were building it from scratch. So how do we actually achieve that? And I'm not going to tell people how we achieved it because they're going to need to come by and visit.
Definitely.
Where is it and how big is it?
It's a 1625 East St. Gertrude place in Santa Ana.
Where is that roughly?
Warner and
Warner
between Warner and
and
Edinger
Grand,
and Grand.
Dyer.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
are all main
So
streets around there.
It's off the 55.
Yes.
Okay.
I believe it's the Edinger exit is the closest.
I believe so. Edinger
Yeah.
or Dyer, yeah.
Yeah, and it's St. Gertrude. And the thing about it is right now, I mean, I found this fascinating, Christine, when I first started looking at, working with you guys, is I went to a little research, and we're talking about, what is it, 32, 34 cities in Orange County? Something of that.
34
I think so,
cities in
34
Orange
cities in
County.
Orange County. And how many cities actually have licenses?
One.
One.
Santa Ana.
That's right.
How many licenses are in Orange County? Something like 30, I think.
I think so. Yeah, it's a very small amount.
Right. So just think about that for a minute, right? Given where we are at with this particular industry, right? I mean, out of 32 or 34 cities in Orange County, there's only one city that has licenses. And there's only 30 licenses.
Right.
And how many, and what was the guy from Age Roll, what did he say? Like for baby boomers, I think it was going to be like 1 out of 5 by 2025 would be over the age of 65.
I think it's even close to that
Right.
now in Newport
That's
Beach
right,
and
in this
places
area.
like
Right.
that.
That's right.
So demand supply alone, you can see where this is going and where it's going to have to eventually evolve to the point of sophistication because you're going to need to differentiate one particular provider from another. What space do you own? Right, in terms of the people's mindset, in terms of it being a provider, an educator. So even when we designed the space, we looked at how can we incorporate that educational component in there for everything from, new product rollouts, showcasing something, maybe having a pop-up of some sort. And you guys do amazing, by the way,
Oh, thank
on
you.
that on a weekly basis.
So where do you think this is going? I can see 3 or 4 visions, and I'll throw these out. One was the old controlled liquor store, diamond store, lots of security, lots of separation, lots of bright lights, and you're going in and you sort of feel like you got to get checked 47 times to come into this place.
Paul, let me just cut you off in one way. It's the same as using your liquor example. It's the same as what happens today. You have a whole range and the whole gamut and everything in between.
Yes.
I think the answer to your question is it's going to probably end up in that space the same way, and it's going to end up where people are competing on a price point, people are competing on a add value model,
And they got shelves of products
all
and
kinds of
something,
stuff,
yeah.
right? And so it is an exciting time because the opportunities I think are endless.
Or
And how it can actually be packaged.
Or could it be, and that's more what I saw with your things, a health spa, a hangout, a comfortable place, a educational space?
Fascinating. We didn't even give him that wording at all. Right?
Yeah.
We just showed him a couple
Well,
of
you showed me the
pictures,
picture,
right?
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
not at all what I would have
And he's
pictured.
not a spa goer, so
No,
that's kind
I'm
of,
not a
that's
spa
kind of-
goer
that's kind
either.
of interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a whole different thing, as opposed to a liquor store with shelves and screaming, try me, this and specials and everything else, as opposed to a relaxing, educational, warm,
Okay.
a cafe kind of environment.
So I'm
Yeah.
gonna pose that same question to Christine. And I have a couple of these things. Like, so how is Whedon? Because I'm going to sit back and just let you basically talk. right?
Okay.
How is Whedon designed to be welcoming?
Okay.
Right. I mean, from your perspective, because I did it from a professional perspective, but you guys were really happy with what there was there, so you had an impression in mind what you wanted to achieve.
Right.
So how is, let's be specifically to Whedon, how is it welcoming? Like, how do you find everything that you guys, when somebody walks in for the first time,
And how does it feel?
what's
I've
the-
never
what-
been
what's-
there. How
what's-
does it
well,
feel?
You're going to have to come and experience it. But when somebody walks in for the first time, what do you see? I mean, you guys have been open for a bit now. Is there some repetitive reaction that you get from people? Are there some things that are shared that are interesting to you?
We definitely get compliments on the warmth of the space. The colors are very warm. The floor is amazing. So come see the floor. It's fantastic. But we try to just be approachable for everyone. We, like you were talking about, the we is very important to us. It's not about, you or us or them or they. It's about we, all of us together, and it's about a community. And that's what we're trying to create. We want people to ask questions, to feel safe, and we try to emphasize what the effect is of a product, and how that product is going to affect you, so that way you can have an understanding of what it is that you're purchasing.
Have you seen with the time that you guys have been open in that location, have you seen a shift or a change in terms of the people that are coming in? Because you guys are doing an amazing job also on social media, getting the word out and being engaged in stuff all across. I mean, baby boomers, millennials, you name it, pets, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Right. But so have you seen where, as the word gets out, you're drawing in more people that are maybe first-time users or people that are coming in to get a little educated? What are you seeing?
Well, we're getting a lot of positive feedback from returning customers and from new guests, which is great. We
awesome.
definitely see a lot of people who are, 35, 40 plus, which is great to see as well. Just like you were saying, there's, a lot of baby boomers in this area. So it's definitely an older market. And we're getting a lot of positive feedback about, just how the store is organized and the experience that they have, that it's warm and welcoming and that everyone's friendly. And that's what we really want. We want people to have a good experience, so that way they feel comfortable coming and talking to us about what they need. And if they don't find what they need, feel comfortable coming back and letting us help them find something better.
And let's talk about like the range of product that you carry. Because you mentioned organized, how the store is organized. Yes, it is definitely compartmentalized a little bit based on what it is and where it is. And like I said, you have areas that are designated for pop-ups where some of the vendors will come in and basically do a showcase or what have you during the course of the week. And we'll talk a little bit about what you may have coming up this week, for example, for people who are interested in going to check it. But let's talk about the range of product that you have.
So we try to carry every method of consumption for cannabis. So we do have flower, that you can roll up in a joint and smoke or something, joints themselves as well. We also have wax or concentrates. We have vape products as well, disposables and cartridges. And then we, of course, have edibles as well, which people really enjoy. And then creams and tinctures as well as capsules.
Yeah, so it's
the whole range.
It's a whole range. And again, people may know one thing but not another.
Exactly.
So having an opportunity to go to one place that has the whole range and has a knowledgeable staff that is basically able to educate is really very important. And there's not a lot of places that are like that. Let's give out the website, Christine, for people who want to basically check it out.
Sure.
And
yeah.
then also, social. Let's just give all of that out because we're about halfway through the show, and I want to make sure people who have been listening can follow.
Yeah, our website is Whedon.com, WEDEN.com. Our phone number is 1-800-CANNABIS. You can call us as well. We'll be opening up for delivery on November 1st here in Orange County. So you can give us a call at 1-800-CANNABIS or order online at Whedon.com.
So you'll bring it to people, not just they can come in, or they can bring it to
your door.
Do
those baby boomers that don't want to get out?
Yeah, well, or
antisocial
or fear that
sit
again
in a studio in Orange County.
The impression. I'm still interested in the big question: do most people, and maybe you can't answer this, maybe it's still evolving, are people more interested in the recreational aspect of it, like a liquor store, or are they interested in the health aspect of it, like a wellness center? Because I think my generation has been through the recreational phase. Now they're really interested in the health benefit part of it. That's what fascinates me. CBD oil and all the medical uses for marijuana.
And how would you track that? Even would it be based
how
on
would you
what,
know?
on
Yeah,
what
right.
products are being purchased?
It's really more what products are being purchased or the feedback that customers are giving us. I would say that the number one thing that people are looking for is sleep aid. It's definitely the number one, or anxiety relief. Anxiety relief.
That's what I would
probably
be
the top
interested
two
in, yeah.
that people are interested in. But I would say that in my experience, it skews more towards the medical market. People are curious about, the effects of CBD, how cannabis can help them in different aspects or for different ailments. A lot of people are very interested as well for their aging parents or grandparents, ways to help them or to get them off of harmful pharmaceuticals.
Off of opiates, right? Pain relief, pain management, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And inflammation and.
I know. I've looked at it and purchased it for that. I mean, so it was not to be coy, but not for me, but for my parents, right?
Yeah.
But it's true, and I think again, it's sort of a little bit of a trial. There's a little bit of a trial and error because not everything affects people the same way. So there's a personal component to this as well.
Absolutely.
Right? And so being able to go back and have somebody that you can touch base with and share what your experience is and kind of fine tune it, if you will, is very important, because otherwise you're kind of lost out there, and we live in a sea of information, but it doesn't mean that it's quality information.
Well, I compare it to Mother's. My wife loves to shop at Mother's, and she goes into their herb sections all the time, and she's always looking for things she's going through menopause, rough case, can't sleep, anxieties, hot flashes, all that kind of stuff. And so she doesn't want to just take, she's tried it, but she doesn't want to just take hormones because she's afraid of the cancer aspects of it.
Side effects.
And so she's experimented with lots of different herbs, none of which seems to have done anything. And she's talked about, maybe, if nothing else, help me sleep better. And she's interested in that. I'll tell the one story that I think says it all. I said this to your guest when she first came in. A couple of years ago, we did the first show where somebody came in and talked about CBD oil. As much as I thought I was familiar with marijuana, I had never heard of CBD oil in my life. We never talked about it back then. I knew nothing about it. And so I was fascinated. I was talking about how it's anti-inflammatory and it's being used for pain relief and whatnot. Next guy comes in, works out a lot, next show, and big conservative Republican. And I said, this was fascinating. You ever heard of something called CBD oil? He said, heard about it. I use it all the time. It's incredible. I use it in my workouts. I said, really? I go home and ask my wife, I said, man, 2 people today have talked about
it's a
something
bipartisan
called
product.
CBD. Yeah, 2 people have talked about it. She says, honey, we have some in the cabinet. I've been using it for years. In one day, I went from 0 to suddenly the whole world knows and is talking about it. It's at CVS, for Pete's sake.
Yeah.
And yet it's a derivative of marijuana, which they correctly do not want to call marijuana anymore. They call it cannabis, but it's a derivative of that plant. It's one of 140 different cannabinoids, these little aspects of the plant that we've only explored the THC that gets you high, and now the CBD. There's 138 other cannabinoids yet to be experimented on. MyJane, they had a researcher from UC Irvine saying, what else are we going to find? So I think that aspect of it is the most intriguing to my aging baby boomer audience.
Well, that's part of why I say it's so exciting.
Yeah.
Because it's really limitless, and it was only limited, to be honest, because of sort of the stigma and that was attached to it, right? But here we are with something that's been around us all this time.
Yes.
That basically we are finally embracing. And you mentioned about the states and what states have whatever regulations. There was an article. I mean, it was in AARP magazine.
Yes.
This last month.
Right.
Right. It was a 7-page spread in AARP magazine, including AARP's official position statement was in there.
And what did they say?
Okay. Well, I can pull it up. I took a picture of it. I can pull it up in a minute. But basically, the gist of it was they were supportive of it in any state where it was legal. They kind of hedged their bets, right? They're like, where
Cannabis or
no, cannabis.
Yeah, cannabis, right? Okay.
Yeah. I
All
mean,
right.
it was
Not just CBD.
Because you're
oil.
talking about hemp CBD.
No.
over here,
I'm
and
talking
CBS
about
and stuff.
cannabis.
Okay.
This whole 7-page spread was about cannabis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
In ARP in the paper magazine, the one that's like almost a newspaper. Yeah, and it had their statement, and I think the reason why they put that expose in the magazine is because they had taken an official statement like in April
Oh, okay.
this year, relevant to where they stand as an organization on this thing, and it basically said we're in support of it for exactly what we've been talking about, the medical benefits, pain management. I'm fascinated by the fact that a lot of the purchases are on sleep. It totally makes sense to me. I mean, especially in this stressful environment that we live in these days. I mean, I easily can tell you I don't sleep right twice a week at least.
Right.
Right. In fact, it's more unusual that you get a good night's sleep.
Right. Exactly.
Right? So everything from either bath bombs, which I've used some of your bath bombs, the oils, muscle aches, whatever. I mean, they took that position, understandably so. But what's also fascinating about this article, and I'll try to see if I can actually basically share it. They might have it electronically somewhere on the website. I'll share it on the Raad Life Facebook page. They actually have a map of the country. And it has medical, for medical use.
Right. For recreational
use.
Still banned.
Hemp only.
Right.
But if you look at just in general, the acceptance on one level or the other of the material, of the plant, okay, there's only, I believe, 6 to 7 states that are actually not some way or the other involved in some level of acceptance.
I didn't know it was that high. I thought it was still.
No, it blew me away. I'm looking at
Wow.
this thing and I'm going, is this real? And it's like there was like about 5 or 6 states or 7 states that were just nothing, like they were not hatch indicated or whatever. And I'll try to pull it.
Well,
Maybe
hemp
Yeah,
has
that's
suddenly
interesting.
been legalized again in the farm bill that was passed recently. So all of a sudden, I believe hemp across the board can now be grown.
I'm sorry, I'm just going to be a little bit jaded right now, right? I laughed when I saw that because the same people that are fighting against California legalizing
Yeah.
are realizing how much money is involved, so they had to figure out a way to basically figure out how to make money. So Kentucky,
Right.
okay, and the Speaker of the House,
Right.
okay, with Mitch McConnell, basically, okay, Kentucky basically approved hemp.
Right.
And then the next thing that came in was subsidization by the government. So there's so much money involved in this that it is unavoidable that there will be some degree.
Look at the players. John Boehner, former Speaker of the House, is now.
Boehner is involved in it.
Right.
I'm trying to find that stuff.
We had on another show Eric Spitz, a former publisher of the Orange County Register, is creating a distribution company, like because they're going to have to figure out how do we not just produce it and grow it, but how do we distribute it?
Okay.
And his partner's John Lockyer, former Attorney General for the state of California.
Okay, so I actually found it. Where AARP stands. In March, AARP Board of Directors approved a policy supporting the medical use of marijuana for older adults in states that have legalized it. The decision was based on a growing body of research suggesting marijuana may be helpful to treating certain medical conditions and symptoms. The policy also notes that decisions related to the use of medical marijuana should be made between the patient and healthcare provider, appropriately balanced clinical evidence, This is their actual statement in the magazine.
Exactly. How quickly the world has changed, how quickly acceptance is gained, and how quickly the laws are changing to catch up, and a new industry is being born in front of us.
The first picture in the article, okay? People, I can't show it to people, but it's basically a baby boomer older lady, Beth Stone, 78 years old, vape pen in hand,
Yeah.
with her pincher Missy on a bed.
Yeah.
Aww.
And
Cute.
That was the lead photo in the 7-page spread by AARP magazine.
And it
Yeah.
covers the other aspect, which I don't know if you guys deal with, but on your other show, you had some people come and talk about. I would have never thought of this. It's now appearing as a pet product.
That's right.
You've got
Absolutely.
to keep your pet calmer, to keep health benefits for pets and
Beth's
dogs.
pincher Missy is sitting on the bed right
Exactly.
next to her in the photo.
That's what I'm
right?
saying.
It's not accidental.
It's becoming a huge
anxiety.
pet product for anxiety.
That's the cover.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go.
It doesn't even call it cannabis. Marijuana. And your
Marijuana.
health. Special edition or AARP magazine.
So I think that's been the difference, to answer the question you started. I think the generation that I grew up in that once thought this was fun and fascinating and cool and counter-revolutionary now sees it as a way, a medical use, a way to deal with old age and the problems that come with it. And I think that's the fascinating part for my generation. It's not that we're suddenly going to go out and get high again here, whether we do or don't. That's not what most of my generation is suddenly interested in this new
well, but
product for.
let's talk about edibles for a minute, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's what's interesting about this for me has been also that I'll smoke a cigar on occasion.
I've seen you.
I refer to it as part of my wellness regimen, having a really high-grade Scotch or bourbon preference. If anybody's thinking about it,
Occasionally you've been seen at a hookah.
I will accept a bottle of Four Roses at any
You-
time.
Yeah, holidays are coming up.
holidays
I've
are
seen
coming
you
up.
at a
Hint.
hookah lounge or
Yeah,
whatever.
but my point is, I will smoke, right? But I also tend to, like when you mentioned hookah. Hookah tends to be a social component.
Right.
Like I don't just sit at home and Jones on a hookah or light a cigar and on occasion I might do one while I'm driving. But it's a part of it. There's a part of an experiential component to all of this, right?
Yes.
But with that being said, okay, there's still, I've never smoked cigarettes. Okay, there's still, not in my mind, but people, and I think societally, there's still a stigma to smoking. So what I find fascinating is that even though you may be a partaker in cannabis, in edibles, whatever, you may still have that in your mind, like you were saying, Paul. It's not for you at this point in your life. It's not recreational. It's all the benefits and wellness elements that basically appeal to you.
Right.
Right. So somebody may actually still have an aversion to smoking, but they will vape.
Yeah, I have an aversion to
Absolutely.
smoking.
It's kind of an interesting thing.
Yeah.
So, it's not like all things have changed. We still have a moral, social reaction to things, but we also have a desire and acceptance to participate.
And with the fear of vaping that's been in the news so much, I think edibles are a frontier, or tinctures where you put in your mouth and on your tongue.
So to the point of edibles, I just want to share a couple of things. I said prior to even coming together with you guys and working on this, which I am thrilled, by the way. Thank you so much.
You're
for
at the front edge,
opportunity.
both of you guys,
Really thrilling. Because I've been doing interior design since '94, and to be excited about something, it's like I remember when I first basically started doing spas in '98. It's like, oh my gosh, this is such a great thing to be involved in. It's the wide open what we could do with this. Same thing. I have the same feeling here. But there are a couple of things I want to share. I was fascinated a couple of years ago when I actually came across an article about the guy in France who was able to finally basically get honeybees, to extract from a cannabis plant. And make their first cannabis-based honey.
What?
Yes. Yes. Okay. Yes. Because for whatever reason, supposedly honeybees would not collect nectar from a cannabis plant, and this guy was able to train them. Now think about the ramifications of this.
Come on, little guys.
Okay?
Come here.
Interesting.
Just think of the ramifications. I gotta find and send it to you.
Yeah.
There are ramifications of this, right? You have the first naturally produced sweetener.
Wow.
Okay,
Wow.
from a cannabis
Infused
plant,
sweetener.
right? Now, if you are a chef or a dessert chef specifically, pastry chef, think about what just happened there,
A new flavor.
right? In natural sweetener. This is not an artificial sweetener, that is cannabis based, and I know for a fact that there are, one of our common friends, Don Garcia, who basically edits for Sansei magazine, where we've had a couple articles for Whedon, is a year or so ago. She invited me to a couple of things I didn't go to, but there were chefs were doing private dining experiences,
Yeah.
where they were incorporating
Cannabis.
into the actual dining experience.
Can I give you another one? We've had several people come in. Comisario Tequila, which is a locally based brand, big brand.
Yes, Comisario, absolutely.
And they're openly admitting that they're experimenting with cannabis-infused tequila, as are many liquor companies.
So again, I will say this: that even makes it more critical in my mind to have qualified, trustworthy resources for education.
Absolutely.
Because just like everything else, which becomes almost like a fad, there are times when you get the things where it's just diluted. The actual benefits components to it, which is not right or wrong, but the actual benefits component to it that you think you may be getting are not really there.
Well, like nutraceuticals, when they stick something in every cereal box and they'd say it's now good for you
or
something,
where everybody claims that something is green and good for the environment, but in fact
right.
it's greenwash. It's not real, right? So again, be aware that as something becomes more profitable, more
prominent,
it becomes even more critical that you have access to resources
Trusted people.
like Whedon and Christine, or that you trust it, right? But I also want to talk about, before we run out of time, I want to talk about, Paul, you're going to give us some extra time because you participated too much in the show.
Okay.
Right, so
And they do another
so I'm gonna
show with
leverage
me.
that.
So come on, they do another show
but
called
I
My
want to
Jane.
talk about this other thing, because you mentioned it kind of in passing, Christine. You're like, 1-800-Cannabis. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, and we deliver, right?
Yes.
Okay. That is a very interesting story that, you guys, somebody who's listening to this, how the heck did they end up with 1-800-Cannabis, right?
Yeah.
but you have been you're introducing the delivery program into Orange County.
That's right.
But
yes,
you
we do.
actually already have it up and running.
Yes, we do. So Whedon's delivery operates in Oakland right now, as well as San Diego. We're based out of San Diego. And so we'll be opening here in Orange County. And we're also opening up a couple other locations in the Bay Area very soon.
So that's awesome. So we're so
And you have the My Jane platform, which is another platform specifically aimed at educating women.
right.
Yes.
And they have a delivery component to it where you can get a concierge, basically, who will work with you and talk through this with you and then bring the product to you.
Well, again, that intention, the intention to actually be, it's not about them. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's about we.
Yeah.
So
I
they
like that.
they live their credo. I've seen
right.
it, and it really, that's what I'm talking about that authenticity, that's depth of knowledge, that if you are a first-time user or a person that's looking for basically medical benefits and things like that, you could, I mean, you said it's available at CVS, it's available here. Yeah, but you know what? If you're depending on yourself to educate yourself, it could be a pretty overwhelming task.
I'll use the mother's
There's a
example
lot of
again,
stuff.
a horrible example. So my wife, everybody wanted me to try CBD oil, and I forgot why. I had some aches and pains or something. My wife had some. We'd run out of it. So I said, I'll go to
Yeah,
Mother's.
it's good for memory loss, too.
Is it? I forgot already. So I go into Mother's, and it's what I personally hate about going into Mother's. There's some kid, a minimum wage kid, who maybe has some passion for this, and I say, there's 50 of them on the shelf. Pick one. I don't know. And so I go ask this kid. I feel like a dope. I'm 64 and he's 16, and he's saying, "Oh, well, dude, take this, and this is this, and why, and everything." And I'm like, I feel totally stupid. I don't feel like I'm getting quality information, and I'm faced with 100 products there that I can't decide. I don't know how to pick one.
So in contrast,
If I had a concierge who would walk me through that, and I trusted him, believed him, yes.
So I will share my own personal experience relevant to Whedon, okay?
Okay.
Because I'm a complete novice. I have no friggin' clue when it comes to the product stuff. It's like I didn't go to the University of Michigan.
You didn't go to
I didn't go to
hash
hash bashes.
Hash
right?
bashes.
Right. I grew up in countries where things were totally illegal, right? But I will tell you, I did not do the concierge approach possibly, right? But I will tell you, I walked in there for a couple of things. You know, and I've purchased edibles at this point. I've purchased creams. I've purchased bath bombs. I mean, I one of my family members basically has a stage 4 cancer situation and the bone, and so that's one of the most painful things you can have, right? So I have gone in there, and every single time, once I got past my initial I'm totally a fool and I have no idea what I'm doing, right? And I approached any of the people, and I've approached a number of them, not just any particular person. The consistency has been, experience-wise, is that they have been very informed. They have been very helpful. There has been never a sense of, what do you mean you don't know? You know, like there's never been that. It really has been about we, and how do we get you educated, and how do we get you to have something that basically benefits what you're looking for particularly. Like, I didn't buy the edibles for anybody that basically had cancer, trust me. But
Yes.
Yeah, so I think to your point, Paul, is you could go and find the product here, there, whatever, but where you go for it is as important as what it is that you get.
Can I give you another, this is a strange example.
Or
that
where it
comes
gets
to mind.
delivered, because we're talking about the delivery service
Yes.
too.
A million years ago, we moved into our house in Orange County, and we have a trail behind us. And I thought, my wife and I were in our late 40s or 50s, and then I said, let's get a mountain bike. We're going to ride a trail.
You're not
okay?
going to talk about where you have your plants, are you?
No.
The local hash
The
bash.
Yeah, the
local
local hash. We're growing them in the canyon. So we went to, and I said, let's go to a bike store. We left after 20 minutes feeling so stupid, so out of place. Everybody's buffed in 20, and we're 50 and fat, and they're talking all the gears and stuff and the bikes. And I just want a cool bike to ride in the canyon. I went and bought one at Sears, because they made me feel so stupid. It was an insiders only club that I wasn't comfortable in, and they didn't welcome me in and say, "Hey, great, Gramps, you're going to ride a bike? Here, let's teach you all about it. Let's show you what's out there."
Well, I'll tell you, I'm not only the designer for Whedon, I'm also a customer.
The hair club, yeah.
Okay, and because Christine will tell you this too, but I'll tell you just as a consumer, right? That is not the experience, and I can easily see it that way. I mean, in fact, I have actually walked in to form of research. I've walked in, and I won't mention what the locations were, but they were literally down the street. I've walked into a couple other locations just to see how they
You
basically
feel stupid, you feel intimidated, you feel...
It happens in every industry,
Right.
okay? It comes from the top down.
Right.
If you have a genuine sense of your mission and you believe in what it is your core values are, it translates down to the customer. And every single person that you interact with is an ambassador for that core value and that mission and message. And it doesn't happen a lot in all industries. It doesn't happen a lot. You find a couple that really believe and walk the talk. And I'm telling you, this is a company that is doing this in an industry that is wide open for innovation, and they're taking the time to do it. Plus the fact that they are multi-level, so there's a quality control component, if I may, that I would consider, because every level of the delivery process, whether it is actual delivery, whether it's concierge service, whether it's education, whether it's actually the procurement of, sourcing of the product, how it's packaged, all this stuff, they're involved in one form or the other. So their credo is translated on every level for that very integrated, holistic
So can
approach.
I give you a level
we have very strict requirements.
And that's what really was like, yes, thank you, finally.
So can I
When I
give you a
encountered
level that, since we're going to give you a few more minutes, I'd love your guest to tell the story that she told when she was on their show,
On the
My
My
Gin
Gin,
Store. This is a girl, if I remember correctly, you have from UC Berkeley a philosophy degree or some crazy thing?
Legal studies and a minor in philosophy. But
and a minor in philosophy. This is
which in itself
this
is
is
an
not
interesting mix.
Right.
This is not the hippie bud tender that you expect, or the kid at Mother's who was sweeping out the back room and is now going to give you advice on what product to use.
So let's take the little time. I wanna
You
turn-
usually
turn-
like to
I-
go
I
into
want-
their
I want-
stories.
I want to turn the focus. Yeah, he's right. I usually do. I'm just very excited about being involved with it.
Yeah.
So, okay, but I want Christine, seriously, let's talk about you. Like, how did you find yourself doing this?
Well, like you said, I graduated from Berkeley with a legal studies degree, and I graduated right around the time of the recession. So I worked in bankruptcy, which was very depressing. Worked a lot on, people losing their homes, losing a lot. It was a really rough time for people. And I was lucky enough to just get a part-time job at a dispensary. And I actually worked as a dispatcher for a delivery service. So kind of, led me to my delivery future here.
Yeah.
I just had a completely different experience than I was experiencing in law. I was able to help people, talk to them about their problems, connect with them, and find some of that community that we've been talking about. And so I ended up just kind of growing with the company, working in a store, being a bud tender, being a receptionist, going into management, and then I eventually got involved in the licensing process in San Diego. And so I worked on a number of different facilities. And then I was lucky enough to become the general manager of Torrey Holistics, which is a beautiful store in Sereno Valley in San Diego. Worked with them for about 2.5 years. And then I moved over to M Delivers, which was acquired by Manifest 7
Right.
and became Whedon. And so that's where, I moved into more of this delivery space and the retail space as well.
And what excites you the most about doing this at this point?
For me, it's really about helping people. I really think that cannabis can help improve a quality of life for a lot of people in a lot of different ways. A few things that have motivated me have just been, the experiences of talking to customers in ways that cannabis has helped them, either to sleep better, to feel less anxious. I had a friend who told me about how she was living with her mother-in-law, and they didn't really get along. And she, discovered cannabis for herself and for her own wellness, and ended up giving some edibles, some very low-dose edibles, to her mother-in-law to help her sleep, because she could tell that she was not sleeping well and she was restless, and she wasn't sleeping through the night. Yeah, exactly. And so this actually helped her mother-in-law to sleep better, and over time improved their relationship dramatically. Because they were both sleeping better, but particularly her mother-in-law was a lot more relaxed and happy and comfortable, living with the family in a multi-generation household, and it really just broke through that barrier. They were more open with each other because they had a commonality that they could talk about, and a shared experience, and her overall wellness was better, and so it allowed them to have a better relationship.
That's a pretty amazing story.
So it's that kind of thing that really motivates me to be a part of this industry, especially as well working with veterans. We see a lot of improvements for people with PTSD or anxiety. In my own family, I have a relative who's a veteran that I've seen significant improvements in his life from exploring cannabis and CBD and different treatments that he was experiencing. Huge migraines, was having trouble being in social settings, or even connecting with other family members and with his daughter. And to see the difference that cannabis has created in him as well is incredibly motivating. So it's these little things, these little stories that really impassion me to stay in the cannabis industry and help create, a company and a vision that everyone can approach. I really think that while there is this huge market for people who are cannabis connoisseurs, there's also people who are new to the space who need to find that community, to find a resource, to find education, to find someone with a similar story, and who can really hear them out and help them find wellness.
Well, and I would think that for those that are first-time users or people that are curious, having this community where they could basically walk into and have sort of an acceptance regardless of what their level of experience is, it aids them. It takes away from that sort of standoffness where they would feel uncomfortable in asking or sounding foolish because they don't know, or saying, I don't know, can you help me? I mean, I think that community component is huge. It's interesting listening to you share that, even the portion about where when you came out of college, basically going and working in bankruptcy. I would venture a guess that there's a part of you that is just wired for helping.
I think so.
And that even when you were doing the bankruptcy, there was a part of you that was like, I'm trying to help people basically that are facing difficulty. And so I totally see a continuous thread of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm kind of wired the same way. I can think of a lot worse things of being, that kind of dynamic being a driving force in somebody's life. I think that for people who are listening to this, you might want to ask people around you, because forget about PTSD is rampant, okay, and it has no age relation. I mean, it happens to all kinds of people. People coming back that are veterans that can be in their 20s, 30s, right? It's not an aging thing. You got the baby boomers that Paul talked extensively about their stuff. There are
just people facing trauma.
People facing trauma, not sleeping. The not sleeping thing just blows my mind. I mean, it's so true. It's happening to. I don't know anybody. I mean, everybody somebody's got somebody in their lives that's impacted by cancer. Yeah, well, I guess how many people in your life are impacted by lack of sleep and the stress that comes with that?
Absolutely. It's vital for happiness to get a good night's sleep.
Had a good night's sleep in probably 10 years.
Your wife has not had a good night's sleep in over almost 10 years?
10 years. She's constantly restless, constantly up, constantly tired. It's all because of menopause and change of life. And where most people go through menopause in a year or two, she's been literally in it for 10 years. It's the slowest, longest, awful thing here.
When people around you are dealing with stuff, unavoidably it impacts people. It impacts other people around them. So if you're seeing somebody in struggling with something, you might want to basically reach out. And let's give the websites again.
Whedon.com, yes, is the website.
And
1-800-Cannabis.
Spell it.
WEDEN.com. Or Whedon Social is our
Whedon
Instagram.
Social's on Instagram.
Yeah.
Did they really come with it because we and Eden kind of go together here?
Yeah, that's kind of the vision, to be a cannabis utopia.
Cannabis
part of the language, part of the it's not you, it's not me, it's we was literally in their brand deck.
Yeah.
Okay. The part about a cannabis utopia was in the brand deck.
The brand
That's right.
Bible,
Yeah.
as they say.
You're right. So some of the stuff that we have been sharing today is
thought out,
literally
conscious,
in the
yeah.
core values of where they stand. Yeah.
Can I ask you, and I hope this isn't an embarrassing question, but I'll ask it anyway here.
Okay.
So you went to UC Berkeley's one of the top schools. It's like University of Michigan. They're always similarly compared. These
Wow.
are very,
How did you just tie
We
those
also
to
had
the-
hash bashes.
I bet you did.
I had to admit, I'm sorry.
Did they? I bet they
Yeah.
did. Because the two schools are often compared. They're very high-end public schools.
Yes.
And I wonder how your parents felt when you said, I'm going to take this very expensive, very high-end education that you received, similar to like going to Stanford or Harvard almost, or those kinds of places, and I'm going to do what? I'm going to go work in the cannabis industry? Was that a took some acceptance, or were they?
It took some adjustment for sure. They didn't like it so much when I was working at the delivery, because I was a driver for a period of time
There's
too,
a safety
and
factor.
they were definitely worried for me for sure. But once I started moving more into management and more on the licensing side, and they really saw the development of my career in cannabis, and especially once I started working with Torrey Holistics and was the GM there, I was overseeing inventory and the staff and training and, just running the business. And they really saw, my development there, and they came to my grand opening party for that facility. And, they've supported me pretty much ever since, I think that they see the passion that I have for it. And I think they've also seen me turn into, a quote unquote adult,
Right.
and develop in my career.
What age, because you're
stable.
obviously younger, what age range are your parents in? They're probably my age. They're like in their 60s or something?
Actually,
or?
my dad just turned 60 this month.
Just turned 60.
Yeah.
Okay, so do they would they ever buy products there? Have they tried any of the products there? Are they open to
I'm
doing?
slowly working on them, but there's still a stigma around it for
Right.
sure, and they're fairly healthy people, so they don't have too many aches and pains yet, but they are very open to the discussion. My mom is a physical therapist and works a lot with elderly classes, doing exercise
go.
courses and things, and so I've spoken to a couple of her groups and given some some feedback for people
What
and
does
some
your
recommendations.
what does your dad do? You don't have to give us a company, but what does he do?
He's an engineer, actually,
He's an
and
engineer.
he works for the government. Yeah.
Okay, so very serious suburban people
Yeah,
here.
absolutely.
But
Yeah.
I think that's the target that has suddenly been opened to this idea of cannabis products. And not so much, I suspect your parents would be less interested in the recreational aspect of it, whatever their background, than in the medicinal.
But
Absolutely.
isn't this duality that you're highlighting, Paul? It's kind of interesting, right, for me, because I could just take the word cannabis industry out of it,
Right.
and put the word interior design into it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, my father is a civil engineer, basically doesn't have a reason on the plan for architects, let alone interior designers, right? And
Those
so,
guys.
so no, but it's funny because there's this thing about when people have a pursuit of passion, and they find the ability to dovetail the passion in with the profession,
Right.
and there's a purpose component there that sustains you, because there's a way that it feeds your soul, like you said, in helping people, right? That isn't really monetary. That's another reward that you get out of doing what you're doing,
Right.
in addition to this, the dollars and cents. But it's funny because there's sometimes a resistance.
Well, that's
Like it doesn't
stigma.
fit that. It doesn't fit that. The A plus B path that
No.
would lead to,
Right.
to this, right?
They get stuck on the cannabis. They get
Right.
stuck on marijuana. What is that? And then but exactly, once you take that out of it, you can really see into it. My dad is an engineer, and once he started seeing the way that I was designing stores and working on projects like Whedon, Santa Ana, he could really see that it was a career and not just
And this is
cannabis.
a new, legitimate industry with big money, big Republican players, conservative types, an open audience. Billions will be made in this space, and yet it's still to be bored. Now, let me ask you another difficult
Well,
question.
we're pretty much, I think, like, I saw the same thing with the internet. I mean, I'm
Oh.
going to age myself. I was online
were
when
there?
when they were like,
When Al Gore started it?
when bulletin boards were
Yeah,
around.
I remember
Okay,
those.
when you try to get AOL discs, so that you basically wouldn't have to
Dial-up.
pay like exactly
Right.
dial up. But there was what we used to refer to as covered wagon days, right?
Yeah.
We're kind of coming out of covered wagon days. But again, when you think about how many communities, I mean, just talk about the square footage, right? You got 34 communities in Orange County. There's only one community that has licenses. There's only 30 licenses, okay? As much as it is maybe coming out of covered wagon days, it's still so small
It's the
in what the
prototype.
potential is.
So let me ask you another
And so
question.
there's a lot of opportunity there, including establishing it the right way.
Yes.
Because that's what usually sometimes goes awry,
Mm-hmm.
is that you will find people that will attempt to do it the right way, but then as it gets crazy big,
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of people that are come and go, and and people basically who suffer are the people that are the consumers. It's like I'm being led down a path and not really being educated. And
Yeah.
How do they deal with the same thing that the nutraceutical industry went through, the herbal supplements went through, the mothers of the world, where everybody suddenly wanted to try this stuff, and it turned out they're coming from China, one package of St. John's wort or whatever it is has half of what it really says in it, or has 10 times as much in it, or has 14 other
Well,
ingredients in it.
let me turn the
that's
question-
safe packaging, that's safe,
me-
because there's no regulation on a lot of this
Paul,
stuff.
let me just ask the question slightly differently.
Right.
How do you guys at Whedon actually qualify that? Like when you're looking at that quality product, when you're looking through those strict internal regulations of
what
what
to
you're
carry
looking for
and-
guidelines, what do you do? Because Paul's point is true. It becomes beneficial. There may be, bootleg stuff. There may be stuff that's not really what it claims to be.
Right.
How do you guys go about that?
Well, we do control an aspect of the supply chain, like you were talking about earlier. We have a distribution branch of our company as well, so everything passes through them, which means that it gets a very detailed quality assurance check. We want to make sure that it has the proper packaging, labeling, lab testing, and then we also look into the licenses, going all the way back to the seed of how that product was manufactured, making sure that we have the proper licensing in place and lab testing, all the way back to where it was created.
Literally back to the seed. I've heard others say that. Talk about that. How do you track it back to the seed? How do you know it's legally grown and grown properly and produced and packaged properly and measured properly and all that stuff? That's a big deal.
It does have to be tracked all the way from seed to sale. We will have some metric tracking here, which is a software that will help the state to understand where all of the cannabis is going, from plants that are destroyed to defective products that need to be destroyed, or items that don't pass lab testing that need to be destroyed. So it's how we track all of that. And it does pass all the way from the source of where the product is grown or manufactured to the distributor, meaning the people who might package it or mark it up and sell it or transport it or whatever it is, and then to the retailer, which is us. So we do track that licensing all the way through, and there is batch testing, lab testing, and so we're able to then look at the lab as well.
Because am I wrong? Haven't there been instances like in the herbal supplements industry where they went in and did periodic spot tests, newspapers or other organizations, and they find out it's not at all what they said it was? It's more than, it's less than, or it has other things than are on there, because it's not like, it is a food product, and yet it doesn't seem to be, they haven't figured out all the regulations and measurements yet of this industry.
There are very strict lab testing requirements, and you do have to be within a certain percentage and everything. The state is very strict about those.
I want to just end with this because of the delivery program that you guys are about launching in Orange County. Okay, it's already in place in Oakland. It's already in place in San Diego.
Yes.
Right. How has it been in those markets, and what are your expectations for Orange County? I mean, you're about to roll it out. People, I'm guessing, can find out about it either on the website or in the way to basically go about taking advantage of it is to call the 1-800-CANNABIS number, right?
Yes.
Okay. How has the experience been for the delivery in San Diego? Because you don't have physical locations and sort of like retail locations in San Diego and Oakland yet, right?
No, we're just delivery there.
Right.
Yeah.
So how has it been?
It's definitely a new world in regulation. There's a lot of requirements, but safety is very important to us. We want to make sure that everyone's comfortable, our staff, our drivers, and our customers. I think it's been a good experience so far. We're definitely trying to grow more, but we're well received. We've been around for a while, and so people seem to be pretty happy with our service.
Okay, I was just going to say, does it overcome the stigma that somebody will bring it to you rather than you having to go there? Does it make, it's not just a convenience, but it might open people to try something in their house that they might otherwise feel
and that's where I was kind of going with
Yeah.
it. Like, is it a convenience, or is it genuinely a self-sustaining program?
Everyone, shops differently. I
Yeah.
think everyone enjoys a different kind of retail experience. We're in very much a click and order world, so delivery definitely feeds into that, and people are very excited about delivery, especially here in Orange County. There's not a lot of retailers that are offering delivery, so it's exciting to be a part of that.
Big opportunity.
Big opportunity, November 1st.
Yeah.
So we're excited to deliver in the area. But some people like to come to the store. They like to see it. They like to, smell the flower. They like to feel the package.
Right.
And some people will just come to the store once, decide what they like, and then order from then on.
Right, exactly.
Some people will only order. Some people like to order online and have pickup. We have that as well, a little express pickup as well, if you'd like to order on our website. So everybody likes to shop differently, and we try to accommodate all of those options.
Well, to your point, we live in a world of Amazon Prime. I mean,
Exactly.
Right.
I'm a design spas and like to get massages in them, but let me tell you, there are many times when I will call Soothe and basically have it delivered to me on my convenience. So there's definitely, that's why I was asking, because you have the benefit of two markets where you've been doing this, and there's something. So the last question relevant to the delivery, just in the terms of how it's structured with the person, like you guys, I'm sure have stringent like evaluations and background checks and all this stuff, right?
On our drivers, yes, absolutely. We do extensive training. We do background checks for all of our staff,
Right.
whether they're behind the counter or behind the wheel. We check out their references. We do a lot of training with them, customer service training, compliance training, safety and security training, and some role playing just so they, how to interact with our customers.
Right.
And a lot of times our delivery customers are people who have difficulty leaving their home.
Right.
For whatever reason. Maybe it's a physical issue, maybe it's a mental issue, maybe it's a convenience issue, and we try to accommodate all of those things. And so we just want to create a good delivery experience that people feel that they got the service that they needed with the professional and discretion that they needed.
And the reason I was asking that, Christina, is because for the benefit of the people that are listening, that have not tried this but absolutely see the benefit and convenience of it, is just that comfort, because you hear stuff with Uber, you hear with Lyft, sometimes people are like weary,
right,
especially first time, and I don't know who I'm going to get, kind of thing. But so I'm glad I was pretty sure that that's exactly what you guys did, but I mean, you went above and beyond what my expectations were, like the customer service component to it, and then role playing situations, because again, that's a big deal too. Like
Absolutely.
how is that driver going to deal with that particular situation? And especially if it's somebody who's elderly, maybe they're dealing with some dementia or Parkinson's. If you don't do that role playing, then they're kind of at a loss. How am I going to deal with this? And I'm awkward now facing it.
All right, give us all the websites
So
and
let's do
addresses.
the websites again.
Whedon.com, Weden.com. We're also Whedon Social. If you can check us out on Instagram, and our phone number is 1-800-CANNABIS.
And before we go, I will tell you, if you do, I think it's good for the phone number too, right? My promo code?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So let's do the promo code, because I actually
You have your own
I
promo
also
code.
have a promo
Wow.
code.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Paul
I
can't
Very
use
special.
it.
I don't have a promo code.
Not for you.
No,
Sorry.
Paul, you don't get a promo code. Okay. Your wife can use my promo code.
Yes.
Right. But
She likes you.
I have a promo code, and it's good for, I believe it was 15.
I believe so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's 15% for your first purchase
Yes.
at the store. Or the
delivery, yes,
okay,
that's
we're
right.
Wow,
Yeah.
Christine just extended it to delivery.
I'll give it to you
Yeah,
for
give it to
sure.
delivery.
Yeah.
And what is the code?
Oh, what is your code?
It's my name.
Oh, spell it for us then.
Nobody can spell it.
RAAD 15.
There you go, RAAD15. And so you can put that in at the checkout online, or just let our bud tenders behind the counter
Yeah.
know, or if you give us a call, just let our agents know.
Yeah, and we're gonna take a picture, which we usually do with people on the show, and I'm gonna post it, and I will share the promo code with you guys too. But it's good for first time at the location on St. Gertrude, or for delivery, and definitely encourage you to use it. And if it was me, I would say go into the store. And I'm not trying to get you guys to see the interiors either. yet,
Yes,
because
you
we are
are.
still in process. I mean, it looks like $1 million difference from
Yeah.
what it looked like before, right? But we are not even done yet.
Yeah, not even close.
Not even close to done
Yeah.
yet, right?
And put some of those pictures up, because you showed me the picture for the first time. I'm sorry to say I hadn't seen it on your social media feed.
Anybody?
And I was wowed. It does not look like what I expected it to look like. It
Any-
doesn't look like CVS or Mother's. It doesn't look like that kind of retail thing. It looks much more like a health spa.
Well, I think that's the best compliment I've ever gotten from you for 4.5
That's
years. Right. But if you guys are interested, yes, go to Rod Gantos Associates on Instagram, RAADGHANTOUS Associates on Instagram, or Rod Gantos and Associates on Facebook. You'll see those images. They're also on LinkedIn under my name, Rod Gantos. But I would suggest you go in not because of that, because like I said, I'm not ready to have you guys like see it, because we're not done yet. But I want you to go in because you really want to experience the amazing range of products that they have at Whedon. It really is an education. Everybody there is so nice and informed, right? if you're going to behave yourself, you can tell them I sent you. If you're not, then don't, right? But you can use my code too, ROD15, for 15% off any purchases. And with that, I will say thanks, Christine.
Thank you so much.
Very much so. I
a lot of
really
fun.
enjoyed it. A lot of information. Go pick up that magazine. I will try to copy it, but I don't want to get in trouble with AARP. But it is a lot of good information in there. You can pretend that it's not for you, it's for your parents.
And if you just want to hear stories, real people telling real stories of their cannabis journey, let's tune in to OC Talk Radio Thursdays at 2 p.m. My Jane, My Story.
My Jane, My Story.
You have been listening to the Raad Life Radio Show with your host and age explorer, Rod Gantos, brought to you on the one and only OCTalkRadio.net. Join us again next week as we continue our journey of discovery into life's challenges, opportunities, options, and all the latest and greatest things that come with getting older.